Well, some people wonder, how did I ever get into doing these faux finishes, these things that look like marble and stone? Well, early in my career, I was painting my friend's sister's house, and I wanted to do a great job. And as I'm cleaning the family room, I noticed that the marble coffee table has a huge crack in it. And I'm thinking, I'm in big trouble. So I got my little paintbrushes out, and I tried to camouflage the crack. And I did a pretty good job. And I'd never done anything like that before. And when she got home, I said, oh, by the way, your coffee table. And she looks down and she goes, oh my God, you fixed my table. It's been cracked for like 5 years. And that was the inspiration of how I ended up getting into this stuff. Now, 25 years later, which isn't like now, I became really good at it. And people call me. And this one lady called me. She goes, I got a brand new kitchen countertop. Can you make my fireplace look the same? And I went over and I said, not a problem. So I arranged to go over, and she said her husband would open up the door for me. And when I got there, he opened up the door, and he started staring at me up and down. He goes, are you the artist? And I said, yes, I am. He goes, are you sure? And I said, I know, I am. I said, why? He goes, you don't look like an artist. I said, well, what does an artist look like? And he goes, well, they got to have a fancy shirt, fancy shoes, fancy hat, and you got to have a ponytail. If you don't have a ponytail, you're definitely not an artist. And I said, I assure you I'm an artist. And he goes, well, we'll see. And we went into the family room, and then he starts looking at the fireplace. He said, so what materials are you using to do this? Well, I'm not really using any materials. I'm just using like paint and some brushes. He said, well, what can you do with paint and brushes? And I said, well, you can do a lot. I said, look at Michelangelo, what he did with some paint and brushes. And he says, well, I don't think you're Michelangelo. I'm not even sure you're even an artist. And he said, and then I said, no, I am. And he looks at me, and I was wondering, this guy's such a complainer. I go, this guy's so negative. I go, this guy's going to give me a hard time. And then he says, how long are you going to take? I should be done by 2 o'clock, maybe 3. He goes, I doubt it. He goes, you know, negativity could be a motivator. Negativity could either draw you down or lift you up to say, you know what, I'm going to show you. So I went out and I said, I'm going to do the best job I can do in the shortest amount of time, because I just wanted to stick it to him. And 12:30 comes along, and I was done. And I give him a call, and I said, come home, I'm finished. He goes, how is it possible you're done? He goes, how does it look? I said, you tell me when you get home. And when he got home, he went into the family room, and for 5 minutes, all he could do was stare at this fireplace. He just stares and stares and walks to the right of it and walks to the left of it and stands in the center, and he's trying to find something negative to say. It's like he's dying to find something negative to say, but he can't say anything negative. Yet he can't say anything positive either. So he turns around, and he's just staring at me, and I'm like, and that's when he says he wants a $50 discount. And I said, we do give $50 rebates, but you have to say something positive about the work. I said, I'm sorry, you don't qualify. And I was thinking, I go, could you imagine living with this guy? I was thinking, if you're his wife, I said, you can get all dressed up to hear nothing, to create an incredible meal, to create nothing. And sometimes people want to put you in a box. See, some people have God-given gifts and God-given talents. And they want to tell you who you are according to what they think you are. You see, there's the first guy who climbed the highest mountain. They said it was too high, too cold, and not enough air. But yet people followed. Roger Bannister, they said it's impossible to do the 4-minute mile. Every book said you can't do it. Every anatomy book said you can't do it. Yet, one day, he didn't put himself in a box, and he did it in 3 minutes and 59 seconds. And when he did it, then people followed. Within 3 months, 6 other people followed. Why? Because it was done. And now people even want to put you in a box on how you look, what an artist looks like, how you're supposed to look like. So when I hear that arrogance on the phone and I'm supposed to go over, well, you know what I do? I put my fancy shirt on. I put my fancy shoes on. I put my fancy hat on. But I got tricks underneath my hat. You see, when I get there, I pull off my hat. I pull out my ponytail. And you know what? The price just went up by 50%. Why? Because there's an artist in the room. There's an artist in the room. The price just went up by 50%. You know, on my way home, all I could do was complain. I couldn't help but complain how this guy was so negative. I got to the job site, and my coworker, he's painting. I said, you know what? Just pack everything all up. We're going to go. And we're driving home, and I'm thinking, you know what? I go, this guy couldn't say something positive. He was such a complainer. And he looks at me, and he says, you know what? If you know the greatness inside you, and you know how great you are inside, you don't need anybody to affirm you. I'm thinking, wow. Okay. Well, the following day, we get to the job site. I was amazed. I said, this guy did 2 days of work in less than a day. I was amazed. He did all the trim on the main floor. I was amazed. And at break time, he says to me, he goes, I'm a bit disappointed. I said, why? He said, because you never said anything about the work I did. I said, you know what? I came in. I was just about to say something about your work, but then I remember what you said. If you know the greatness inside you, you don't need for me to affirm you. And I looked at the disappointment on his face, and I said, but you know what? I said, you did an amazing job. I said, I'm proud of you. I said, you're the best. And he said, thank you. I needed that. You know, there was a few days later, I fell down the stairs, and you know what I do? I busted my phone. I lost all my contacts. Can't get to my contacts, and I'm not a tech person. So I brought it to my neighbor's house, and I said to him, I said, is there any way I can get my contacts out of this? He said, leave me the phone. A few days later, I went by, and I was amazed. What he did was he attached the cable to his TV set, and I was able to see everything on the screen on the TV set. And when I saw this, I said, you're the best. And then he had to manipulate the phone. There was only a certain part of the phone that really worked, and he had to fiddle with it, and finally he grabbed my contacts. And I said, you're the best. And then he grabbed it, and he emailed it to me, and I heard the ding on my phone. I got my contacts. I said, you're the best. And he said, shut up. I said, what? He goes, stop saying that. I said, saying what? You're the best. I said, has anybody ever told you that before? He goes, no. Never your mother, never your father, nobody. He goes, no. I said, I don't know how to tell you this, but you're the best. You know, every week I would meet up with a friend, and he had a really good son. He had a great father-son relationship. And I'm not one of these guys who say, wow, look at the father-son relationship that they have. I don't usually say that, but they really had a great father-son relationship. He was very gentle, very kind, and it was just something different about anything I've ever seen before. And one day I went over to talk to him, and he was busy, so I talked to his son. And I said, you know what? I said, your father's a good father. I said, I'd really admire the father-son relationship you have. I said, I really admire how you used to interact. I said, he's the best. The following week, I met up with him, and he said, you know what? I want to thank you for changing my son's life. I said, well, how did I change your son's life? He said, you know, he lives with his mother, and I only have him on weekends. And you know what? All he ever hears about me from his mother and his grandmother, how I'm good for nothing, I'm a bad father, and I won't amount to anything. He goes, you're the only one he's ever heard say anything positive about me, and how I was a good father, and how I was the best. I goes, thank you for doing that. It changed his life. Thinking, wow. Those little words can change people's lives. See, we have a sphere of influence right around us. We can influence the people right around us in our workplace, in our jobs, in our homes. See, sometimes the most important people in your lives, your parents, your friends, they never say anything to you. And they never tell you how important you are, how you would amount to anything. Sometimes all you hear is the worst. But what if you were different? What if we were different and we were to say, you know what? If you're going to be a priest, you can be the Pope. If you're going to be a cop, you can be the police chief. If you're going to climb a mountain, you can climb any mountain. If you're going to run the 4-minute mile, you can even do it in 3. How you can reach for the stars because you're the best. Thank you very much.